Welcome to PWA's very first podcast. I am Anthony Edwards alongside El Jefe.
Max SCD.
Anyway, this is our very first podcast, and we're going to tackle a bunch of subjects that have just occurred in the world of pro wrestling. It's a pretty hefty list, and we're going to go ahead and start tackling things. We're going to tackle WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, and everything else that's going on with pro wrestling. So, Jefe, what is the first thing you want to discuss today, sir?
Well, as you know, Lucha Underground Season 1 wrapped up a couple weeks ago with Ultima Lucha. It was a great 2-hour finale. A lot of people, it got a lot of positive reviews. I think there's a few, Match of the Year candidates in there. The Cero Miedo match between Vampiro and Pentagon Jr., the final match for the Lucha Underground Heavyweight Championship between Prince Puma and Mil Muertes. There's a lot of great matches out there. But as you know, there's always been this talk about, well, when's Season 2 going to come out? Because they wrapped Season 1, but what do we do now that Season 1's over? And there's a push right now for Season 2. So Wrestling Observer newsletter, and Dave Meltzer actually got a hold of one of the Lucha Underground contracts. Most of them are pretty one-sided, and most are for 7 seasons. So the company seems to be going into this with the mind that there's going to be at least 7 seasons. Who knows what's from there? But, of course, Meltzer was also careful to point out that if they don't shoot within a while, it would be very easy for talent to get out of their contracts in court because, you have to be able to make a living, and it's not fair to talent to deprive them of, opportunities and dates and for a show that's not even happening. So they've also been told that they can accept bookings up to the end of the year, and even some vice executive producers are saying on the social media and in interviews that the season will definitely happen, 99% sure. It's just a matter of when and where. I think they're having a couple issues with Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, being a little bit too pricey to film in. I'm not going to lie, living in Los Angeles, much less filming in Los Angeles, gets a little pricey. Ricochet, who portrays the Prince Puma character, is actually one of the bigger names that got a lot of momentum out of this. I mean, he was already an indie darling. There was a lot of people on the circuit who were really big fans of his, but he's already been booked for the G1 finals for New Japan Pro Wrestling against Kushida for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. I don't see him winning that championship simply because if Lucha Underground decides to pick up another season, they're not going to want their one of their big stars holding another championship. What are your thoughts, Anthony, on a second season of Lucha Underground?
Well, you and I have gone back and forth a little bit about this. Even going as far as saying you take great joy and, poking fun of me if there is no season 2. But I keep reading about it, and I keep thinking about everything that I don't look at it as pro wrestling, as the pro wrestling business. I look at it as from the television filming standpoint.
Well, you do have a television and filming background, so...
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. You say, everyone's like, maybe there's not going to be a season 2. Look, everyone can accept bookings all the way to the end of the year. So I guess from a perspective of somebody who works in that industry, yeah, you can be tied to a show. You could be tied, crew for Dance Moms. You can work on Dance Moms all the time. They love you. But if Dance Moms is running into legal issues or they need to find a new location, hey, man, you're on our crew, but... go find, go get some work with some other TV show or whatnot. Come back to us when we're ready to shoot. So the way I look at it this way, they mentioned that Boyle Heights, the producer went on to say, we want season 2. We're going to do season 2, but we're going to make sure that if we do season 2, it's the Lucha Underground We're not going to skimp on how it looks, the lighting, nothing like that. So what does that mean? That means Boyle Heights, that warehouse in Boyle Heights is probably too expensive to work out of.
A warehouse in Boyle Heights is too expensive to work out of.
If you're gonna be using a lot of that, a lot of that lighting equipment and whatnot, yeah, you're probably spending a lot more money on camera and lighting than you are location-wise.
Do we see any possible other locations that they might be looking into?
Well, there's 2 options that they're doing that they mentioned, and that is We can move locations. So if they do that, they're going somewhere with a lot of film credit, a lot of film tax incentives.
Florida, I would think, it comes to mind.
Florida, yes, but that's a little too far to travel for the crew. So I'm going to say the best possible scenario, you're looking at Texas. You have a very built-in Latino population. Robert Rodriguez cut his teeth in Texas, so he has a lot of networks there. A lot of networking. I'm sorry, a lot of people he can network with there.
That's true. He does have a lot of. So there's a big population out there that would love to have him. Is there a film incentive out there?
Oh yeah, Texas. There's a huge film incentive out there. You have. You're closer to AAA, so it's not that hard for talent to go to and from both of the companies. Univision, which has been using Lucha Underground on their second network, the Unimas.
Yeah, I've seen it there.
Yeah, so they're using it for that. So they're trying. They'll be more than happy to shoot out of Texas and use that kind of a like, hey, look, AAA, we're everything is closer. Everyone's closer to one another. We can easily network with each other right here and now. And believe it or not, it's cheaper in Texas.
I believe that. It is definitely cheap out there.
I mean, there's been jokes about we should have it in Florida, the Universal Studios, where it's like, you could easily sell tickets here. But I think the biggest thing they're doing is not so much, hey, we need to keep the costs up, like we need to, the revenue up, so much as they think they're trying to offer incentives for wrestlers to stay. So like Ricochet.
More money for their contracts.
Well, like Ricochet has, his contract as Prince Puma, but he's the only talent right now with a T-shirt from Lucha Underground.
No one else has that.
No one else has that. So I'm starting to think that they're negotiating with all the talents, saying, hey, we want to make more money. We need to sell T-shirts of the characters. What cut do you want? Like, how much of a cut can we give you for the rights to use your name? So I'm sure, like, Pentagon Jr. has a T-shirt with Peros de Mal, but he also, I think, has his own shirt with AAA. So then it's a matter of AAA, we need to use some of your licensing to release our own shirt, Some of them, it's a little tough. Like, Son of Havoc could easily have a shirt. Angelico can easily have a shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that come January, you will hear news that they started filming. I mean, it took, what was that show? From Dusk Till Dawn, Rodriguez's other project. It took him a year from the end of season 1 before they even began filming season 2. So I think that's what's going to happen is come January, you will hear that there's a season 2. You will see, we'll get all the things we want to hear. I guarantee you.
You'll be telling you told me so.
Oh, no. I'll be more excited that Rey Mysterio is finally a part of it because that's their big ace in the hole they have.
That's the payoff?
That's the big ace in the hole they have. Rey Mysterio's on the sidelines, says he wants in. Alberto's the one that got him. So Alberto's like, dude, you're going to love it here. I'm having a blast here. Come on. He's like, okay. But, like as most athletes nowadays, it's, hey, I'm coming, but I want to get paid.
Everybody wants to get paid.
So you got Univision finally backs up Lucha Underground, and they're waiting on one more network. Which, if they get that network, they are officially.
America.
No, God, no. God, I would. Oh, no. Oh, that hurts. That
Extreme
one.
Grilling, followed by Lucha Underground.
Oh, that just stings. What was it? Barbecue Pitmasters, whatever that.
Yes, that's what it is. Barbecue Pitmasters.
No, I'm pretty sure there's an Extreme Grilling show too.
Sure, why not? There probably is.
But
do you see any places where Lucha Underground might land?
Oh no! Officially, El Rey will be the English network for LU. But, and I'm gonna say this because no one I think has. Everyone's like, Netflix, the hashtag Netflix needs it. Please, Netflix, take LU. I don't think people realize Netflix isn't stupid. WWE kind of screwed the pooch and said, hey, Netflix, we're taking all of our stuff off your network and we're putting it on our network.
Yeah, okay? This would be a really good...
They need a wrestling promotion. And they want something original.
They have a lot of other things going on.
Oh, they need it.
Definitely help them out.
Trust me. They need it. They need a niche. They need lots of niches.
So you don't think that you think that they might try and make a pass at Lucha Underground?
I guarantee you, right now, there's talks. I'm going to say it right now. There's talks going on. It's all coming down to how much is Netflix willing to give up financially, or how much is Robert Rodriguez willing to take a cut? Because right now, Rodriguez sold the rights for From Dusk Till Dawn. So he already has one of his shows on Netflix. Now the question is, what do? You obviously have to release a DVD set.
Right.
So do you release...
Who makes the cover of that DVD set, in your opinion? Who's going to be on the cover?
I guarantee you it's going to be just the generic Lucha Underground insignia.
I'm calling it right now. It's going to be that shot of Prince Puma from behind. Mark my words. Season 1, disc 1.
I will say collector's edition or back of the box, yes.
But just the regular cover on the back?
Like
or the regular cover on the front?
Regular cover on the regular insignia on the front, so that you know right off the bat, Lucha Underground. You know, it's as generic as
Netflix,
it looks.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But aesthetically wise, I think it would be much better. Because what do you do then? What do you do for season 2's cover?
Well, here's what you do.
Same
right?
thing.
Well, here's what
Change
you do.
The color?
Well, no, because most likely the season 2 is going to be the Lucha Underground with the giant question mark on top of it. That's how you leave season 1. That's essentially how you're going to enter season 2.
With the question mark.
With the giant question mark over the insignia.
I thought that was just a tease, but I'll take your word for it.
It's a tease, but here's the thing. You look from aesthetic aspect. You put Prince Puma on the cover. If you watch LU, you know who that is. So like I said, if you do a collector's edition, that's the one you grab. Because automatically you're a fan, you know who that is, you know what the promotion is, you want whatever the special edition is.
But for like the casual fan who doesn't know who that is.
As generic as the insignia looks, that either that orange or pink, whichever is the one that is the most prominent one, that like weird, reddish color they have, you do that with the white trim on a black background. It's clean.
You got it all pictured out.
It's clean and it's eye-catching.
All right, let's say they put out 4 collector's edition covers, variant covers. Who do you got on your 4 variant collector's edition season 1 Lucha Underground covers?
Puma, obviously.
I think you got to put Mil. If you put Puma on there, you got to put Mil. He had a huge year with Lucha Underground.
Here's the thing. You put Puma on there because Puma is the generic everybody character. Right? He's the unsung hero. You have to have a sexy star. Because if you play it that way, you automatically appeal right off the bat to the other gender. I would say you're either going to put Mundo or Alberto, and then you would put Mil.
What did you say?
You put Mil as the third one. Mil, his face as the third one. And you put Alberto or Mundo, depending on who you think is going to sell more. I would say if you're selling in Mexico, you put the Alberto cover, and if you're selling stateside, you put the Mundo cover.
Really? I would have gone with these are my personal picks. I would have gone with Puma, just because you got to have Puma.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone with Trios Champions, Evil Lee, Son of Havoc, and Angelico. Probably in some. They've got so many awesome photos of from the matches that they had. They could probably find a good one with all 3 of them in profile. Looking great. I'd like to see Vampiro making his return. Either there's a great shot that they have of him getting smashed over the head with one of those halogen lamps.
Oh yeah, if we're talking about like inside photos and whatnot, yeah.
I think he would look good, or you could just that would be to me that would be a really big collector's item. Or you could just other than that, I would also like a single one of just Angelico just flying through the air, because nobody epitomized that whole high flying spots better than he did in Lucha Underground. I think he really took it to another level.
Well, if you want shots like that, that's when you create the collector's edition. You put, all right, we have 39 episodes. It's roughly 4 to 5. If it's 2 hours, I think it's like 3 discs or something like that. I don't know. So if you're looking at it's an hour, the Ultimate Lucha, you're looking at least a 6, 7, 8 disc collector's edition.
Wow.
I would say do that. One of the discs is like all behind the scenes production notes, that type of stuff. Like, hey, this is how we made it look like it looks. You can be cheesy, and I was gonna say, for a while, that AAA video game was gonna give you a La Parka mask if you pre-ordered it. Do that same exact thing, but be cheesy about it and put a Son of Havoc mask in there. Because it doesn't require anything special.
No, it really doesn't.
So you could be cheesy, like, it includes a Lucha mask, but it's only Son of Havoc. And then you put, like, an art book in there. Like, okay, here's stills from everything. Here's Vampiro with his, newly formed look. Or at the end of Ultima Lucha, all those, teaser images, like, what do we do next? That shot of Pentagon with Vampiro in the background. That looks sick. Like, you put that as one of the art shots right there. So you just make, an art book, free mask, make it like the ultimate disc, like 9 discs or something like that. You sell that as a collector's edition. You sell the bare bones as a regular edition for like $30. That's extra income in your pocket. Put that, use that to kind of sweeten the pot. Like, hey, Angelico, you don't have a contract with AAA. You want a T-shirt with LU?
That's true.
You want it? Okay, boom. Ricochet, you got one. You don't have a contract with anybody. Boom. Son of Havoc, you got one. Boom. Ivelisse, you got one. Boom. I mean, Phoenix, you can't do it. Drago, you can't do it. Cage, you can do it. I think Mill is an original character, so you can do a Mill shirt as well. Vampiro doesn't have a contract. You can do him. And that's really about it. And maybe Sexy Star, but Sexy Star has a... Sexy Star is the one you might have to pay some good money for, because then you have that female hero.
Yeah. Unless you want to do Ivelisse.
Well, you do Ivelisse anyway, but Ivelisse is, she's an anti-hero. That's essentially what she is. She's the Punisher.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That could work.
So anyway, so moving on to...
From the highs of Lucha Underground to the lows of TNA GFW Global Force Wrestling. Just give us a rundown on what happened last night from the tapings, if you can. It's not going to get any pretty, so we might as well.
It was tough to watch, and I'm not going to lie. I was super.
You're from Florida, so you could attend a taping if you wanted to.
I regret not attending the tapings earlier when it was like Hardy was prominent, Homicide was prominent, people I actually wanted to see were prominent. Like AJ Styles. When AJ Styles was there, I should have gone to a taping. But now that none of them are there,
you fool!
I feel like it's such a jackass for that one.
Can we just say it seems like Jarrett returning to TNA, with Global Force Wrestling, seems to be the only thing that has really revitalized and saved TNA from just sinking lower than it already is. And the real irony here is that Jarrett is just basically recruiting out of TNA's locker room. He's signing in all this ex-TNA talent because I guess they have a much better working relationship with him than they do with Dixie. And I think Dixie is finally realizing, after all these years, that she's not good with wrestling talent. She's not good at handling people. I don't even think she has basic social graces and people skills, the way she's handled this whole TNA debacle from Destination America, even going back all the way to Spike. But so what's your thoughts on this whole GFW invasion angle?
Let's tie everything together in a nice little bow. What Lucha Underground is trying to do is what TNA is doing, and this is why what TNA is doing only works for a company on the rise as opposed to a company that reached a form of height and needed to keep going. It's so tough to even talk about.
Let's just run down what happened at the taping.
Well, I mean, let's go over how it is in general. Global Force Wrestling, TNA is having a tough time actually putting on a good show. And by that, I don't mean like the wrestling isn't spot on at times. It really is.
The wrestlers, there's loads of talent on this roster. This roster is deep. It can go if you have the creative forces behind you.
Yeah. The problem is that
They don't.
Well, no, it's you could tell who's checking out. Like
Uh-huh.
people who've checked out mentally. Like Gail Kim is still there mentally. She's still trying to put on a clinic. Brooke, going from the booty dancing chick on ECW to a woman that actually tries to wrestle. It's like, okay,
Well,
she's trying. The
well,
Wolves,
that and her boobs.
boobs. It's all about the butt, man. That's she adamantly she always shows that off. So that's her like one niche to fame or whatever. And I laughed because not too long ago, Rebel showed up on there. I was like, "Where the hell have you been?" Like, and you're back only to show off your butt too. What the hell happened?
I tell you what, there's 3 reasons to watch TNA these days. Anything with EC3 in it, anything with Bobby Roode in it, and anything with the Wolves.
The Wolves,
anything,
yes.
Anything else is just missable. You can miss it and have a clear conscience.
Well, the Wolves, yes. I'm happy to see Tigre Uno finally getting a chance to shine because when you give him a chance to run with the ball, he can run with the ball.
Uh-huh.
EC3 when he has somebody good to work with.
He's a great character. I love his character. I love that he went from this spoiled kind of aunt's boy to kind of like this. I don't want to say mentally unhinged character, but really just there's something off with the guy.
Well, I mean,
watch him.
He still sounds like the spoiled kid until you put him with somebody like Spud. Like that whole payoff with Spud and him at the very end, the shave your head match.
Yeah.
That went extremely well. That was, that caught me off guard. I'm like, wow, I'm actually entertained by this.
Right.
But
so what happened at the tapings?
So you go through the tapings. Jarrett comes out. Jarrett, you kind of figured this was coming, especially since all the results have been posted. But Jarrett relinquishes his title
for no apparent reason.
No, just he outright admits, "Hey, I'm too old to be doing this." It's like, well, okay. You kind of admitted that back when you won the belt. Like I'm too old to be wrestling, but I'm going to do it anyway. So he goes. He releases the title. He gets to acknowledge the fact that he has booking power. Gets jumped by Eric Young. GFW comes out to save him. Then, for whatever reason, TNA wrestlers come out to back up Eric Young.
Eric Young, the guy who has systematically humiliated and embarrassed half of this roster, and suddenly they all have his back.
The guy is complete. The guy is the epitome of being unhinged. Like he's the epitome of an unhinged character, and he's just outright, everyone's gonna come help me. It's like, why are you guys helping him?
It boggles the mind.
It does. So they come out, they brawl. For some reason,
did they even have colored T-shirts on like back when SmackDown and Raw would brawl? Like, did they even do that?
Not TNA. Not TNA.
TNA. I guarantee you, before this is over, there will be a spot in the show where they all come out wearing the same colored shirt.
Only GFW.
Green.
Whatever. No, they had the black shirt, but it's like you can tell who is truly into GFW, like Sanjay Dutt, who was one of the first people Jarrett recruited because of how intelligent he is and how well he can network in the country of India.
Was Jigsaw there?
No.
Oh.
I wish. But they had like the first match between GFW and TNA was Awesome Kong versus Lady Tapa, who apparently has a manager and a handler now by the name of Big Red Tapa.
Okay.
And
Can she wrestle?
No. And I said this from the beginning when they had Eva Lise versus Lady Tapa on Gut Check, and they announced that they picked Lady Tapa. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Like, I get it. She's the niece of some old school wrestler. I can't remember. It was like Alpha or something like that.
Alpha?
I think it was Alpha. That's her uncle or something.
Yeah.
I get why you picked her, because she actually has a lineage, and you want to use that lineage. But Eva Lise ran circles around her in Gut Check, and you still picked her. And then watching Awesome Kong versus Lady Tapa was like foreshadowing watching Lashley versus Jesse Goddard. You did not want to sit through it. You just wanted to fast forward through it. Oh, look, double count out. They're still brawling. Whatever. Just move on. It was that forgettable. And it was, what was it? You had Rude come out. Rude goes and talks down to Spud. Rude attacks Spud. I'm not going to spoil what that leads to because TNA's already filmed that whole aspect. But it does lead to something between Spud and Rude, and eventually it leads to Rude being a part of GFW. Is what's going to end up happening. What else was there? There was that Lashley versus Jesse Goddard match, which just like Lady Tapa versus Awesome Kong, so bad, so bad.
I think Bobby Roode is here. Wait, we're talking about Roode or Lashley?
Well, the Rude and Spud thing was the precursor to the Lashley versus Jesse Goddard match.
Can you explain to me why Lashley had to win a qualifier when everybody else was already qualified?
No, I can't. I really can't.
Why of all people, why does Lashley have to qualify? Really, if anybody should be automatically booked from the get-go in this spot, it should be him. Because he's one of the few guys next to maybe Kurt Angle, maybe Matt Hardy, who is like a legit star in this company, and he has to qualify for that.
Well, here's the thing.
You got all these scrubs in the actual match at the end, which we'll get to. But
from the way I saw it, it was supposed to be that they already had 2 TNA talents and 2 GFW talent.
Uh-huh.
So you had PJ Black, you had the former Chris Masters, then you had, it was supposed to be Drew Galloway, and then you had Eric Young, who earlier on during the him versus Jarrett booked him in the match. So I guess the aspect was we need a 5th person, which I'm always confused because I could have sworn King of the Mountain used to be 6 people. But nonetheless,
they're trying to stack the deck for their promotions.
I guess that was one of those things like, hey, I believe in my company so much, I'll let you, TNA, pick who's going to be the 5th member of the match. And you can put 2 of your guys versus each other. Why do you put Lashley versus Jesse Goddard? I don't know. Obviously, it's a way to get Lashley back in the title hunt, but
title hunt. What is this title? Is this the King of the Mountain title? Is this going to become
doesn't matter?
the GFW title?
Doesn't matter. Everyone's going to be going for after every title.
Yeah. No, then no title means anything. EC3 was.
He didn't have anything to do that day.
Okay, so what? Let's go over what the main event was, if we can.
Well, we went over, the cool thing was watching Tigre Uno versus Sanjay Dutt. Because I do miss Dutt.
You can't talk enough about Tigre Uno and Sanjay Dutt.
Well, I love Dutt. I feel bad that the guys never got to hold the X Division title. I think that's dumb. He was there since day 1, and you don't let him hold the damn title.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, the Wolves versus the former Kurt Hawkins and Trevor Lee. Which I give it up to Kurt Hawkins, or the former Kurt Hawkins. He actually did a pretty good, he handled himself pretty well in the match. But yeah, it all comes down to King of the Mountain, which, why
DJ Black win, former Justin Gabriel?
No. It was more of, why did Jarrett tell EC3 that you should tune in to the final? Because I found a replacement for Drew Galloway, who got mysteriously attacked. I found his replacement, and you would be surprised at who it is, and then it's Robbie E. Like, I sat there, I'm like, wait. Let me, Jeff Hardy. You could have put Jeff Hardy in there.
Yeah, that would have been some legitimate interest.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson. Have a revenge for Mr. Anderson versus EC3.
Well, I mean, actually, I don't really want to see Anderson ever.
He wasn't going to win. We all know that PJ Black was going to win because he's the big star they signed for GFW from WWE. He's the big one. The Darewolf. So it's like, you put Robbie in, okay, whatever. You obviously want Robbie E to just be a filler.
Uh-huh.
And it was a giant cluster. You can tell that, it's not smart to put somebody like a PJ Black or a Chris Masters in a match against people they haven't wrestled with.
What is it? It's a reverse ladder match.
Yes.
Where you have to fight for the right to earn the opportunity to hang the belt up.
Yes, and that was so bad. I'm going to call it this. It's the Canadian ladder match because there's a penalty box.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the penalty box.
If you get pinned or submit, you must spend 2 minutes or whatever the equivalent is in the penalty box. But what I didn't understand is, for example, if I remember correctly, PJ Black got the first pinfall. At no point did he try to put up that title. He just kept wrestling until Lashley got a win. Okay?
Right.
Still, no one's trying to put the title up. Like Eric Young, no, Robbie E got the third pinfall, surprisingly. It's like, okay, are you going to try? No, keep wrestling.
Let's just perform moves.
They kept going until like 4 of the 5 people got pinfalls. I'm like, why?
Why not?
They literally would have had to keep up with you as you tried to put the title up there. That's all you had to do to win it. After that, you got a pinfall. Just grab the ladder and climb up. No. We're going to wait.
You would think.
You would think, yeah. No. And then it's like Eric Young hits Robbie E with a tombstone on top of, I'm sorry, just a regular pile driver on top of the stairs. He's out. He was so out selling that he never even spent his 2 minutes in the penalty box. When I saw that, I'm like, all right, he's done. He doesn't have a shot in hell. He was literally just laying right next to the penalty box. I'm like, does that count? I'd put 2 minutes right now for that.
No.
So it was...
And then the end with the stare down.
You know that was coming. Like, but it's so weird. Like, PJ Black, you can tell he's finally happy. He's like, yes, I get to go out and be myself again. And he's overtly excited, but it's just like, it looked nothing like an actual... They kept saying, we're not invading, we're not invading. Well, you look and you're acting like you're invading, except for the guy who won the match. What does that really do?
They were booking on social media. Every match was a TNA versus GFW match. It's like they had the TNA guys in blue and then they had the GFW guys in green. So why did they even bother say, oh, we're not invading. We're not invading. This isn't an invasion angle. Like, what is it if it's not that? What else could it be? What's it called?
I think he's trying to make it like a showcase angle.
A showcase angle?
Whatever. I think we're all just counting down the moments till Jarrett buys back TNA.
Way to go, TNA. You managed to make an invasion angle boring.
Like, you managed to make a couple weeks boring.
Yeah. It's beyond me about, what Billy Corgan is cooking up in his little lab down there in TNA. He's running wild though. That's for sure.
You know what? I'll say this: Corgan had some good moments when it was just him booking. Now that you're throwing in Jarrett or whoever's booking for GFW and they're trying to collaborate, it's like you put the reins back on them. So it's not fun. You shackled everyone again.
We're back to the old ways.
Pretty much. That's how everything's gonna go. So anyway, I guess
it's a happy way to end.
What? Let's hope to God GFW buys them.
I mean, isn't that what we're all waiting for? We're waiting for GFW to buy out TNA.
Look, let's be honest here. We're all just waiting for Lucha Underground Season 2.
That's what we all are waiting for.
Anyway, so on to the head cheese, the WWE.
Head cheese. That's the phrase you used to talk about.
They did have a tag team called Head Cheese, all right?
Have you ever had head cheese?
No, I have not. I saw it at the market, and I want nothing to do with it.
It is an acquired taste. I will say that. It is very definitely an acquired taste.
So it's disgusting. Got it. Anytime somebody says it's an acquired taste.
Speaking of disgusting, we got to get back into the nasty. We got to plunge our hands down into the debris of the garbage pail of WWE, and that usually means you'll bump into China every now and then, and her behavior. According to Wrestling Observer newsletter, she didn't crash Roddy Piper's wedding. She was invited, so you can't say she was crashing and trying to get attention. But at the same time, according to X-Pac, Sean Waltman, who was also present at the funeral, Triple H was also in attendance. So Triple H and his former girlfriend / lover, I don't know if they were both or neither or one at the same time, were in the same room for about an hour. But they didn't actually say anything to each other until towards the end. China supposedly rushed Triple H and said sorry for everything, kind of blurted it out. And X-Pac reported how close she was to getting thrown out of the funeral for such behavior. What's your thoughts on this whole China thing? And even the Kickstarter The supposed photo where she was at WWE headquarters, which turned out later on she took the photo, and right immediately as she took the photo, she was asked to leave, and now she can't get her calls returned. WWE is trying to sever as much as they can with China. What are your thoughts on her recent behavior?
You know, like, I'm one of the few people that doesn't really hate China. Like, I'm not a big fan of hers, but it's like, okay, you fell in hard times. I've spoken to enough wrestlers. I've seen it firsthand how they fall in hard times and whatnot. She went through her drinking and drug phase. She did the porn phase. Then she tried to do the I'm just going to be a teacher phase, and I'm sure a couple of her students found the porn. And, you know, now she's doing the, like, I'll be a fake celebrity phase, like Hulk Hogan. You know, like, I'm just going to do reality shows and whatnot. The whole thing is like, look, oh, she didn't talk to Triple H for over an hour. It's a goddamn funeral. You shouldn't be talking to each other. You know, it's like, who cares what happened in the past?
She just had to force it, I guess.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's WWE. WWE doesn't have exactly the cleanest reputation for handling former talent. Like, hey, we made good with Sunny. We got her into the Hall of Fame. I think she has a Legends contract. I'm not sure. And now there's the rumors or the stories that she's offering, like Skype sessions and whatnot. And it's supposedly
was that Sunny?
Sunny is what I meant. Sorry. I don't know who the hell I said. But I'm saying it's like, you know, that's an example of something that they try to make good with people in the past, you know, because it suits their needs. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, whatever. We don't care anymore.
Well, I think a lot of it kind of has to do with the fact that Triple H is now running the show. I think he's definitely done his best to try and, you know, shake loose that particular coil from his past.
Well, but I mean, you can't change the past, really. You know, it's like
yeah, you can, because in WWE 13, when they were doing the Big Attitude Era package, she was missing from every possible video package. Like, they minimized her as much as they possibly could. She doesn't show up on the roster. When they promote her, when they were doing the Monday Night War series, they tried to cut her out as much as possible. You know, they minimized a lot of her achievements. So
but
it is possible to.
That's not changing the past.
Huh?
That's not changing the past. That's hiding the past.
Okay.
It's like, what? Does anyone really forget about Chris Benoit?
No.
Like, you can sit there and say, oh, look, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. It's like, yeah, we know who that third person is. We know who won that match. You know, it's tragic what he did, but we don't want to focus on what he did in his personal life. This is what happens when you create fake celebrities. When you create a character and then you have the person in real life. The Hulk Hogan thing. We all remember Hulk Hogan, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, you know, what have you. And then you find out it's like, oh, yeah. Listen to him sound like a douchebag over the phone.
Right.
You know? And it's like, everyone's like, oh, that's an invasion of privacy. No. Here's how it goes. Your character. And in this case, Triple H probably broke the boundaries a little bit with China. But you are now in charge of WWE. Well, you're like the second tier level of WWE higher-ups. You run NXT. You have a wife. You have a family with 3 kids. If you cannot act like a damn man about it and be like, China, I'm sorry, there's nothing to discuss. Or whatever. I don't know. Did she ever change her name fully from Joanne to China?
I believe she did, because she had to secure the rights to perform under that name.
Okay. So you just outright say, all right, I'm sorry, China. You know, nothing we can do for you. Maybe we'll put you in the Hall of Fame later on, but we're not going to give you a Legends contract. And I think that's really what she's trying to do is like, look, I need job security. I was stupid enough to make porn thinking it was going to last. It didn't last. I need extra income because I can't even go be a substitute teacher without my students finding out that I worked in porn.
Yeah, that's a sad state of affairs. But
I mean, what was
this type of behavior that she's exhibiting in public certainly doesn't help her public image at all.
Well, you remember the cat, right? Stacy the cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did she do? Her and Molly Holly, what happens once they're done? They went and pursued a job in realty. Yeah, it sucks. It's not the best one, but they made do of it.
Yeah.
I know Stacy works realty, and she's married to Kizarni.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like Kizarni's the one that's still doing the rounds on the wrestling promotion, but they have that steady paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
I think her best bet is to be like, you know what? I don't need the China name anymore. It's time for me to change my name either back to the original or something new. And
Right.
just pursue something outside of WWE and wrestling.
She
And
can't let it
porn.
go.
I'm sorry?
She can't let it go.
Well, you hear all the wrestlers that retire and they're like, it's a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling stays in your system. So you either commit to it fully or you find some way to get out and find something to occupy your time. But
Right.
then that check from a wrestling convention is just too sweet to look past.
That's true. That's very true. I want to talk to you now about transitioning into the match cards for the upcoming
SummerSlam?
WWE events for SummerSlam week. You want to go into NXT Takeover Brooklyn?
Yeah, let's do it with NXT.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, obviously the biggest one is Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens. Ladder match.
Ladder match for the NXT Championship. That's who do you got winning for this? Tell me who you got winning.
As much as I think Owens needs this, and that's saying a lot because right now I don't know where the hell he is in WWE's booking, but
he's on the main roster.
He's on the main roster.
Made it.
He made it, but do you make it and stay relevant, or do you go back and be a higher up in the NXT? I would say that Owens needs it more, but it's going to be Balor who wins. You don't cut off Balor now in his forward momentum.
Do you see any possible interference, any run-ins from a Sami Zayn or even Samoa Joe?
No. I'd say if there's ever going to be a run-in, it would be Hideo Itami.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some payoff for that too.
They were discussing for a while a Itami versus Balor feud, and if you're going to do it at any point, I mean, you know what? I take it back. It won't be a run-in. It'll be a post-match attack. I would say Itami comes out, keeps Owens from winning the title. If this is what's going to happen, if he's going to show up, Itami allows Balor to win the title, and then Itami attacks Balor, setting up a feud.
Which leaves Owens
back, I don't know, facing Cesaro for whatever reason. As much as the indie fan of me loves it, I just feel bad for them both. I'm like, you guys deserve a lot better right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-win situation for Kevin Owens. Obviously, he made the decision to push up to the main roster right away, and in hindsight, it seems like that might have been a little bit too rash of a decision.
Well,
because obviously they brought him up only to bring him back down again.
Well, let's be honest here. If you're going to go to NXT, you don't get to say when your number's called. Your number's called, and you either go or you leave NXT. You don't get to stay in NXT for forever unless you're injured.
Or you're Tyler Breeze, which we're going to talk about him.
I feel bad for him because he should have been called up to do that, be part of Miz's little entourage, and I'm still waiting for that aspect. But
what about Owens?
You know what? Owens just, I don't know. I would say Owens should face Rollins.
That should have been the match we see.
I would say that Owens needs to cost Cena the title and have like a triple threat with Rollins.
That would work because I don't know. Do you really want John Cena anywhere near the world title scene?
No, I want Cena gone from the title scene. I'm very much I was happy with him taking that break from the title scene.
Yeah, he's actually more interesting when he's not in the title scene because then I want to see, okay, well, what's he going to do when he's not there? Obviously, there was a couple missteps with Rusev and Bray Wyatt, but when he's away, there's usually much more compelling television than just him saying, the champ is here over and over again.
Well, then they shouldn't have given him the U.S. title.
Right. So, moving on, who do we have next?
The Cena versus Rollins title for title.
No, TakeOver.
Oh, TakeOver. I apologize.
It's not TakeOver.
You know what? You were talking about it. Liger versus Breeze.
Liger. That actually caused quite the stir because, as you know, Liger's with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he books himself. Mm-hmm. He has that power at this point in his career, so he'll book himself wherever he wants to. And I guess William Regal was able to reach out to him and kind of bring him in for an NXT takeover event. That ruffled quite a few feathers over at Ring of Honor, who has a working deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling. They kind of didn't see that one coming, and as a result, they're doing some smoothing over with some things. I think Guido is going to go tour Michael Elgin's his training facility, as well as do a couple matches and work with Elgin, who's also been doing really well. But back to NXT TakeOver, it's going to be Tyler Breeze and Jushin Liger. I really don't see this as being anything more than just like a simple one-off showcase match. There'll probably be a couple interesting spots. I don't see Breeze winning this match, just because, why would you bring in Liger, who they're billing him as this international superstar. He's got a mask, and he's got if this is going to be more than a one-off program that I do see Tyler Breeze winning via some trickery, but I haven't seen anything else announced, so I got to go with Liger just because it's Liger. What do you think?
That one, believe it or not, I'm actually a little conflicted. At first, I was like, there's no way you let Liger lose to Breeze. Unless Liger is willing to give that bump to Breeze.
Which would be great.
And, this kind of goes against my plan for Tommy to return, but if you're going to have a plan B for Tommy's return, this is where you do it. You have Breeze completely disrespect Liger. Mm-hmm. You have him either cheat to win, try to remove the mask, something like that. The whole vanity aspect, oh, you're so hideous, you hide behind a mask. Let me rip it off.
That would be an excellent program for an idea.
Then you bring in Itami to face Breeze. Itami comes in like, I know Liger. I've known Liger for years, and, you will not disrespect him, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Instant program between Itami and Breeze. And then that'll be a nice way to get Itami up to speed to face Balor for the title eventually.
But again, going ahead with that plan, of course, that basically sends Tyler Breeze back down the pecking order for a title shot again. And this poor guy has been how long has he been in developmental for? 4 years?
Something like that. Something ridiculous.
He's seen everybody go on. And at this point in his career, I feel like if he's not careful with how he's booked, he's going to turn into the next CJ Parker, who, as we know, he was a great talent, but he never, was able to, reach for take that big step into the main event scene, even if it's at NXT. He's underutilized, and he's so talented that it's a real shame to see him kind of just treading water for the past 4 years. But it's a shame.
Well, I don't think he needs a title to transition. Breeze has been in developmental for a while. Obviously, he's not going to be a top card draw. I mean, if you're going to just use him as a mid-card to low-card talent, just bring him up eventually.
Send him up now. What are you waiting for? Unless they have plans with Tyler Breeze. I feel like Tyler Breeze they're trying to put him in a position of, mega stardom just so that they can say, hey, this isn't an international superstar. It's someone who's a native to the NXT farm system, and he's now it's justification at this point, because everyone else who they've called up was either a star in another company or a star over in Japan, and I think they need this one to succeed, or else NXT is just an independent territory. It's not even a developmental anymore. It's just about cherry picking the top talent from independent promotions, and they'd have to admit that they don't know how to grow their own talent, which would be a really embarrassing situation.
Well, wasn't Reigns? Reigns didn't come from anywhere, did he?
He came from a wrestling family.
Yeah, all right, but he didn't come from another promotion.
No, but, I mean, if you asked one of our other correspondents, Abby, how she thought he was getting over, there's always kind of there's a kind of a mixed opinion on where he is at in terms of star power. For example, Owens showed up, and right away people knew that he was a star. People treated him like a star. He was put on that level as a star, and he delivered each time. So it remains to be seen whether or not how you define somebody as a star based on in-ring quality, charisma, the ability to talk. I think Owens fits that a little bit better than your Roman Reigns is.
Well, I say this. Look, easiest thing to do, have Breeze. You know what? Get the damn title off Ryback because he can never stay healthy. Big Show doesn't need another damn title. Have Breeze interfere in the match. Have him help Miz. Let him be like a crazed fan of Miz. And just, there you go. There's your call up. There's your bump. Let him train under Miz a little bit more. Let him get that, that rub from Miz. And then when time comes, let him break off on his own. But, I mean, it's sad watching him in there for forever. And for the aspect that he was supposed to have been brought up with, as part of the team with Miz and Mizdow, and he never got that call. It was dumb. You missed the opportunity to bring him up. Do it now. Like,
right. It makes sense. It's like the most logical place. There probably won't be another better spot after this. It's just, let's just go for it now.
And you need a new Intercontinental Champion. You really do.
I mean, is Miz really the guy to fit that bill, though?
You tell me. Do you want Big Show?
You're putting me in a no-win situation.
Well, what happened to Ryback? We had to miss a pay-per-view because Ryback got injured again.
Yeah, they probably should have. They never really enforced that 30-day defense rule. If you can't defend it every 30 days, then you're stripped of it. They never did that for Brock when Brock would go 2 months in between a show.
Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
So, moving on next to the NXT Tag Team Championship, you got the team of Blake, Alexa, and Murphy versus the Vaudevillains, Aiden English and Simon Gotch. Who do you see coming out with the titles out of this encounter?
I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to mark out. I want the Vaudevillains to win. I think their persona and their entrance and whatnot is just that unique that they stand out. And either, look, if they don't win, just call them up already.
Right.
Because I think that's you can only go so far with it in NXT with them doing the same thing. Now you can pull it off. It might suffer like Adam Rose did.
I think it's going to go exactly the way Adam Rose did went. It's not going to. It's too niche. You look at the team of Blake, Murphy, and Alexa, and you get it. It's two guys, rough-looking guys with a beautiful woman right in between. And I think William Regal actually said that the Vaudevillains need to get a woman to kind of be on their side to stop Alexa from interfering. So we might see the debut of another woman to join the Vaudevillains, or maybe it's just like a one-off. But I just feel that Blake and Murphy make much more sense as tag team champions right now. Granted, there's not a lot in way of competition in the tag team division right now. I think it's Mojo Rawley, Zack Ryder. There's the Vaudevillains, obviously. There's Banff. There's not really a whole lot of competition left. So it just makes the most sense to me to keep the belts on Blake, Alexa, and Murphy until a later date when they can find another team that's ready for the titles.
You know what? That might happen, but I'd hate to see the Vaudevillains continue to be right there in NXT. And yeah, it's kind of niche-y, it's kind of gimmicky, but I mean, take advantage of the fact that you have the New Day. Their thing was pretty niche-y, and they managed to manipulate it pretty well. You might as well just take advantage of something similar. So, I mean, I don't know. More than likely, Blake and Murphy are going to win. That's what I believe. They're going to win, but I think Vaudevillains, as a mark right now, I want them to win.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley qualifying against Becky Lynch this past episode of NXT. She's going to go one-on-one with the boss, Sasha Banks, the NXT Women's Champion. Who do you have winning this match? What are your thoughts on this match?
I'm going to go with both what needs to happen and what I want to happen is Bayley winning. And that's not a knock against Sasha Banks, but let's be honest. Lynch, Flair, Paige, and Banks are killing it on the main roster.
Except for that minor hiccup on SmackDown last week.
I blame everything on Naomi right now. Everything's Naomi's fault. And that's sad because for the longest time, she was the only one that seemed to do amazing in the NXT division. And
her and AJ.
Yeah.
Her and AJ were carrying that division for a very long time.
And then NXT comes up and just shows everyone up. It's like, wow, there's a huge difference right now.
Yeah, NXT is just the women's from NXT are just so good that they're above Naomi in terms of quality, and that's saying something because Naomi was one heck of a performer. But bringing the NXT women up was just a clear. There's a clear point of divide between Naomi has hit her peak, and the next logical conclusion is Sasha. So it's for that I have to say Sasha Banks dropping the title at NXT Takeover to Bayley, who I think she deserves an NXT a women's championship run with that title. She's been there a long time. She's had some great feuds with the likes of Charlotte. She had a good one with Becky, even with Sasha, and I think it's gonna be a really good match.
And that's what needs to happen. Really, it's like Sasha's made her. She got a huge ovation, along with Flair and Lynch. It's like just drop the belt, focus on the main roster. For the love of God, improve your team because it's bad to watch team bad. And just go from there. It's bad. The name was right. The name was right.
Name says it all.
So then you got Joe versus Corbin, and I really don't know who needs this more.
I would say that it comes down to the debate of is NXT an independent territory or is it a developmental territory? If you go with the developmental answer, obviously Baron Corbin would be the one who needs this win more. If it's an independent territory and you want to build up champion contenders, then Joe needs the win more because you got Samoa Joe, a decade plus veteran, been in this business for a very long time, and to take him and say, okay, but Baron Corbin can beat him, it's like, well, why did you come? There's nothing to be accomplished here for you if you're going to lose to Baron Corbin, unless you're just in it for the money.
That's what the question comes down to. What did you promise Joe? Did you promise him that you were going to, try to get him up there to the main roster? Or did you outright say, you know what, we need you to, polish our talents? I mean, right. But for that, you have Rhino. And as sad as that is, that's exactly what Rhino has become. He's just there to polish talent in NXT.
And I think he kind of takes joy in being able to kind of, return to what was once his home. And I think a lot of people appreciate what he's doing for that next generation of talent. I just don't see...
It's Rhino.
Yeah, it's Rhino, and then it's Samoa Joe. One has held the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, countless other titles, and then there's Rhino. We're looking at a situation where it's, however slim, it's possible that Samoa Joe could become the first man to ever hold, the TNA Ring of Honor and WWE World Heavyweight Championships.
Did it? Oh, yeah, TNA. Yeah. That's true. That could very well be. And I think that would be good to see. It'd
be nice.
It'd be nice to break down that damn barrier that WWE had for forever.
I mean, I don't even know if they want to acknowledge that TNA even exists.
Oh, they've already acknowledged TNA. It's not even funny anymore. Towards the end, they were like, yeah, we'll acknowledge TNA now that they don't stand a chance. So yeah, I got, truth be told, I got Joe winning just because this, Baron Corbin, there's nothing about him that really stands out.
Right. And then, of course, you got Uhaa Nation debuting at TakeOver under the new name Apollo Crews. I'm a little iffy about the name at this point, but I'm here to see Uhaa. I don't really care what name he's performing under. I want to see him in that NXT ring. I don't know what he's going to do. It says debut. It doesn't say he's going to be in a match. If they book him, I'd like him not to be booked in like a 3-second squash. I'd really like to see how he can go. Like, squash matches to me are just they're so passe at this point because they've been done for every single person who comes up to the main roster to NXT. I think there must be a better way to debut a person.
Well, I'm going to say it like this, based on the fact that there's also going to be an Itami appearance. You might as well have him run interference in one match. Just that's probably what's going to happen as his debut. Because I think you would think that they would push him more. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, Apollo Crews debuts against like Zack Ryder. It's like, oh, he's going to debut. What's he going to do? Probably just going off the fact of the list of who's doing what. More than likely, he's probably going to have something to do with the Joe versus Corbin match. And I think that would be the perfect way to keep Joe strong and keep Corbin strong. And set up a possible program with either Corbin. I would say probably set it up with Corbin. Get Uha Nation versus Corbin.
Or does but that leaves Joe out of
no, you have Joe. Have Joe probably start going towards the title or something.
Okay.
There's ways to go about it, but looking at it, the only thing that makes sense is Cruz interfering in that match and either having Joe versus Uha Nation, which leaves Corbin with no one, and or Uha Nation versus Corbin, in which case, who needs that more? Joe has his name already. Corbin doesn't. Corbin needs a program. And you can't make Joe look weak. You hyped him up You hyped him up when he came out. It was that big deal that he showed up against Owens. You got to keep him strong.
All right.
And most likely, watch, it's going to be like Joe versus Lesnar at some point. God help us all.
Right.
Anyway, so back and now to the graduates, the SummerSlam program itself.
The main event. What's our match card looking
like? Let's start with the one that is going to be partially awesome and going to hurt a little bit, and that's going to be that 3-team elimination match: Team Bad versus Team Bella versus whatever the new name for them are, the Paige, Charlotte, Lynch. I'm not calling them submission sorority.
It's an elimination match. Who do you think needs the win more?
Team Bad. Without a doubt, Team Bad needs that win more.
Yeah, they're kind of struggling.
Who's gonna win?
Tamina, before she suffered that injury, Tamina was decent in the ring. She had a style. It was a little stiff. I kind of liked it because it was, it suited her character very well. She was a big woman. She did a super kick, and she had she looked dangerous. She looked like someone you didn't want to mess with the leather. And then she got hurt, and she came back, and ever since then, I feel like, it's like when you tear a muscle, and if you go back to doing what originally tore the muscle, you're always a little bit extra careful about, doing that same move or that same motion over again, because you already know it's been torn, it's already repaired, but it might tear again. And ever since then, I think that's been a real hamper on her ability to perform in the ring.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, I would say what she really desperately needs right now yes, but it's a good feud, and it's going to have to be one of those typical big person versus small person type feuds. So I would actually say, of all things, she needs a feud like Tamina versus Becky Lynch. And let Tamina just run roughshod on her for a while. I mean, Lynch can carry a match. So she can carry Tamina in a match, but let Tamina run roughshod over Lynch for a little bit, and then have the big payoff being Lynch finally conquers the beast. She finally beats the person that's bigger than her, that's stronger than her, that has more attitude than her. You can't do Charlotte. You need Charlotte to go for the damn title, because she at least has the family name. Paige is on Tough Enough, so Paige, I don't know. She's also on Total Diva, so either have Paige face off against Alicia Fox or Naomi. But in the end, it's like, who needs it more? Team Bad. Who do I think is going to win? Most likely Lynch, Flair, and Paige. Because they're the ones that actually entertain. People are actually excited to watch them wrestle. I mean, I love Brie Bella, but Jesus.
She's been having the same matches with the same women over and over and over again, and she's beaten the entire roster 3 times over. So
yeah, but it's like Brie. I can enjoy Brie because she has more of a personality than Nikki.
Are you kidding? You're lying. That's not true. Brie
more than Nikki? More than Nikki.
Yes, that's not a lot, but Brie is such a terrible actor, and she's so awkward.
We're not. Let's not discuss acting ability here, because pretty much everyone on Total Divas is a horrible actress.
Are we going by what we see on Total Divas or whatever.
I'm just saying, when I watch her in the ring, at least she has that moment where she fires up. You know, she quickens the pace. The pace can go fast or slow with her.
You mean Brie mode?
Yes, Brie mode. But at least the pace quickens. You watch Nikki do it, and you're just like, okay, just hurry up, for the love of God.
I like that Nikki has incorporated a couple power moves. I like her rack attack finisher. It looks really, really devastating. Like, that just differentiated her and left Brie with, like, because Brie is supposed to be working like this, similar to her husband Daniel Bryan's style of, like, the kicks, the running around the ring, and it's like, that's not her style. I don't know if she ever really developed a style, but
I mean, that's...
taking her husband's moves is just, it seems really cheap to me, because you earn that, you learn the reason why you do all these kicks, and Daniel Bryan had to do that over years working all over the world.
But you can tell who's working with whom. Like, you can tell, yeah, all right, Nikki really is working out with Cena and, learning power moves and whatnot. But you can tell who took more interest in training their partner. And that's more of like, Bryan realizes, okay, I'm not coming back anytime soon. I may never come back. But if that's the case, if I can't be making the mad amount of money in the business, then you need to. And I'm going to teach you things. I'm going to let you learn. And you know what? If you didn't have the Bellas together, Brie could stand out. Like, you can enjoy Brie's matches more than saying, like, oh, there's the Bella twins. Okay, wait, what? The Bella twins, did they ever actually learn those moves in the past? And you think back to the horrible matches they had with Twin Magic. And, they don't stand out. Because let's be honest, you can sit there and say, well, Brie mode is, running fast, and she's got the kicks, and Nikki's got, the power moves. But then you look at, what's it called? Paige. And Paige just shames them both. So, yeah. It's just one of those type of things. This one, I'm kind of intrigued. You got Green Arrow, Stephen Amell and Neville versus Stardust and King Barrett. I don't get why the need to put Neville and King Barrett in there. Mostly King Barrett. But I was impressed with Amell. He caught on to the, jumping the ropes pretty damn well. So, unless this is going to go to WrestleMania, you might as well you're going to give this one to the Neville and Steve Amell.
Yeah, the reason why Barrett was inserted was because originally it was going to be Miz and Stardust, because Miz is like supposedly a Hollywood type, but because of the Intercontinental situation, they threw Miz in, so now they had to find a spot for Barrett, which, I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's getting time. Again, another super underutilized character and wrestler on the show. And the fact that he appears a lot on Total Divas simply because of his past association with Alicia Fox. I feel every time I see him on Total Divas, I think he's thinking, man, I really wish I had never dated Alicia Fox because she keeps involving me in her airing out her laundry.
Look, let's be honest. They put him on that show purposely for the fact of, hey, I need to stay relevant. Because for somebody who won King of the Ring, he really hasn't gotten that bump from King of the Ring. And they're talking about bringing back the Bad News Barrett gimmick.
That was the same thing with when he had the Intercontinental title, is that we were all waiting for that bump to happen, and it never did,
So it makes you wonder, is that booking or is that him? Because for the few times that he was, gaining momentum, he gets injured. Then he comes back with a new gimmick, and like, okay, we're going to give you a bump, it never goes through. But I mean,
the injury that happened that killed a lot of his momentum for the Bad News Barrett character, that wasn't his fault. It was, I hate playing the blame game, but that's on Jack Swagger, because I watched that episode where Swagger threw him into the barricade, and it's these things happen, but that's not his fault that he got thrown.
I'm not blaming
really hard
him.
into a barrier.
I'm not blaming him. He just has crap luck with everything.
Yeah, he's like the type, he suffers from, the creative team not knowing if they should get behind him. And yeah, I feel like it's like Drew McIntyre all over again.
Pretty much. I'll give you that one.
I gotta go, but that being said, I gotta go with, I feel like this is building towards a singles match at WrestleMania between Amell, the Green Arrow, and Stardust. So I think Okay, if it's an extended program, I see Stardust pinning Amel. That way you protect, and cheating, of course, obviously. And that way you protect Neville, you protect Barrett. I mean, it's weird, but maybe that's why Barrett's here, is just purely just to eat the pin.
Yeah,
Because
I could see that.
if it's a singles, then obviously you want to give it to Amel so he can, raise his hand and give him that moment. But I want this to go on a little bit longer because I'm intrigued to see. I like the comic book look that they've been doing the past few weeks. So I'm intrigued on where this goes.
Well, I mean, Amel started this whole thing with claiming that Sting was not the true vigilante that he was. And they even had a nice little meet and greet at one of the Comic Cons. So I will say this. Neville gets the win for his team, hitting the red arrow on Barrett. Barrett eats the pin. You get a program out of it between Barrett and Neville, which is like, England versus England, I guess. And then you just go ahead and you have Stardust versus Amel for WrestleMania. Neither one of them got pinned. Neither one of them can claim anything. You just keep going from there. So, next up, Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title, Primetime Players.
Let's just do this in a one-off. This is complete laziness by the booking team, by the creative team, and it's so typical of the matches that the division has had to go through, where let's just throw in all these guys into this one match. Let's not devote any real time to any real feuds. It's just everyone wants the championship, and everyone just has cost each other a match at some point, so now they're all going to throw in. That being said, I think the New Day is going to pin one of Los Matadores for the championships. That way, you protect Primetime Players, you protect the Lucha Dragons, and New Day gets the championships, which is really, they never should have lost. They should still have them. But I guess, because of some politics and some good publicity, they decided to put the titles on Primetime Players.
Well, look, Primetime Players deserve that for a while. Only because you kept Titus O'Neil in that weird purgatory where he couldn't get a singles gimmick, to save his life. Even when he was, what was it, Slater Gator was another one he did. And you're just like, Jesus, this is bad. So you finally get Darren Young back. Obviously you want that good publicity because he became the first openly gay, active pro wrestler in WWE. He can't handle things solo, so you might as well just put him in a tag team. Bring back Primetime Players. That's something that's been around for years now. Technically, Primetime Players have been around for years. They should not have lost the bump they had because of Abrams. I forgot his name. Whatever his name is. I can't remember. But their manager they had at the time, making the Kobe Bryant joke. It's like they should never have lost that. So what do? This is what I see it as. Lucha Dragons, you get your spots. That's the only way they've been booking Lucha Dragons. It's mind-boggling to me, but it's like, hey, we get to use them to sell masks, and we get, high-flying spots. They're not going to win titles, but you get that.
Yeah, you get that.
And you get Los Matadores to eat the pin.
Right.
So what do? I say you let Primetime Players win this one by beating Los Matadores.
It's funny, we both had Los Matadores as the ones eating the pin in this match.
Because there's really, why else do you book Los Matadores in it? Unless this was a feud between Lucha Dragons and Los Matadores, which I thought for the longest, a couple weeks back they were doing that. Unless it was a feud, it made sense, but it doesn't. So I say you let Primetime Players get the pin on Los Matadores. They get to keep bragging that they won. New Day finally gets to slip a little bit further down from that positivity. They hinted at it during Raw when they heard the announcement that it was a 4-way. You could see they're starting to get angry. They're starting to finally snap. You let Los Matadores eat the pin. Primetime Players keep the titles. New Day snaps. They beat the crap out of Los Matadores. Now you have a new version of New Day. A really angry version. And that's when I think they'll get the titles back. When they finally snap and no more positivity. We don't like the fans. We don't like you. We don't like that person. We don't like Primetime Players. Screw Lucha Dragons. We're taking everyone out.
Just total destruction.
And you know what? I would love to see it because Xavier Woods is extremely intelligent with his, how he's doing like the micro booking. You hear him during Raw, you hear him talking smack, you hear him saying things. You let Kofi Kingston shine, which, during that time when he was facing Orton, he kind of had a mean streak a little bit, when he broke the Orton's race car. And then, Langston, I mean, that guy's just built to be a monster.
You mean Big E?
Whatever his name is. Langston, Big E, whatever. The guy does the guy that was like dancing at the end of Raw. That got very awkward.
What's next?
You got Wyatt family versus Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. So essentially Shield Light versus Wyatt family Light.
To me, it's just like it's not the family and it's not the Shield without all three members, and because of that, I feel like this match is a little underwhelming. The feud thus far has been the build thus far has been pretty underwhelming. We've already heard reports that Sting is not going to be making a surprise appearance. Rowan is still out, so it's just going to be another tag team match. Which this card is actually stacked with a lot of tag team matches, and to me, right there, that's just it's a symptom of a bigger problem, and the problem is lazy booking. Let's just get as many guys on the roster, on the card, involved in whatever way. So that's what I think. That's why I think this was heading. So,
well, who wins?
Who wins? Does it really matter who wins? None of these guys have really any traction at this point, and a tag team match isn't going to give them any. I don't see it giving them, unless one side just completely squashes the other side. If you don't have that, then you're just spinning your wheels, and it doesn't win it. For the sake of this conversation, I'll just go ahead and say miscommunication between Ambrose and Reigns leads to Ambrose getting hit with Sister Abigail and pin. Wyatt family wins.
I say, I'll go this. I'll give you Wyatt family wins, but I say this is the return of Rowan.
He returns?
I say he returns, and I say he goes back to the Wyatt family, because, let's be honest here.
He's a little lost lamb. It makes sense.
Well, I mean, but neither Luke Harper nor Rowan can actually do anything as singles. Like, nobody can book them properly. So it's like, you might as well just bring them back and just have them as a trifecta.
Yeah, and this is part of it kind of connects to the whole Lucha Underground movement, where why not introduce a trios championship to WWE? I think there's a lot of tag teams are a dime a dozen, but a trios team, a team of three guys, it can work. And they've shown that it does work with and there's good lord, there is plenty of talent on the roster that can it's not like you're lacking people to make a trios division. So I think it's definitely possible. But what do you have next?
Next is going to be Ryback versus Big Show and The Miz.
Oh, God. Kudos to Ryback. Congratulations for him on recovering from his staph infection. I have no interest in seeing this match. I feel the only way this match can get good is if Ryback squashes Miz and Big Show within, a couple minutes. But it won't. It'll probably go about 15 minutes, and we'll have to watch. So I'm not interested in anything really coming out of the IC title scene right now.
Only thing I can look forward to is if what I said comes true and Breeze wins the match for Miz. I mean, other than that, I have a funny feeling you're going to keep having Ryback versus Big Show for whatever reason.
Then Ryback versus Miz.
I say watch. As far as I'm concerned, if anything, you have Breeze interfere and you let Miz have a lackey. And get the title off somebody who's always injured. I mean, yeah, Miz goes off to film movies, but for the love of God, at least he's not like, oh, I broke this part of my leg. Oh, look, I got a staph infection. Oh, look, I wrestled Sheamus and got hurt again.
Right.
I'm blaming Sheamus for everything.
Yeah. What's next?
Title versus title, Cena versus Rollins. I hope to God it's not Cena.
You know, I hope that it's not Cena either. But all the signs are there. It's almost like when you have a dog in your backyard and an earthquake is about to happen or a hurricane's on the way and the dog's just acting really weird. You know, the dog can like feel the tremors of the earth, or it knows something, or the birds start flying away. And all the right signs are there. You have a Cena who's hurt, who got hurt in the ring, who is known for never giving up and making a grand comeback. And then you have the slimy Rollins who, like, if anybody else besides Cena, people would be saying, like, oh, so Rollins has had a good run with the title. Now it's time for him to drop it and move on to other stuff. But just because it's Cena, then it becomes a very prickly issue, because now you're looking at Cena breaking Ric Flair's 16-time World Championships reign that stood for almost a couple decades. And I want Rollins to win. I just think if we're really about, the future and about building up talent and building up the next generation of stars, I think it has to come from Cena, the biggest star of them all currently right now. I think it's a well past time for him to recognize that his time as champion is over, and it's time to start putting over guys slowly, one by one. And like the situation that you mentioned earlier of Owens costing Cena the match would be an excellent kind of like venue to transition him away from the title. You can do a plethora of things. I don't think they're going to have Rollins go over clean. Not after him breaking Cena's nose. There's no way they'll let him go over clean. He'll cheat somehow. There'll be some shenanigans. But at the end of the day, I think Rollins is going to win. Dirty.
I would say this. Unless he's going to be punished for breaking Cena's nose, in which case the punishment is he loses his title, the best alternative to having, Rollins go over clean or Cena going over clean, you have Owens interfere, then you have Cesaro make the save, and then you have Cesaro and Cena versus Owens and Rollins next pay-per-view. Because no matter how you look at it, it's title versus title, but a title cannot switch hands based on a DQ. So, best thing to do, you keep you keep the titles on each person. You have a disqualification. The only person that has a reason to interfere would be Owens. Who has an issue with Owens at the moment is Cesaro. So you have, Owens interfere, cost Cena the match. You can continue the feud to an extent by, Cena saying, technically I won.
Right.
Right. Unless he's getting punished. If Cena wins and I go on my table flipping rampage through the East Coast, if Cena wins, it's because Rollins got punished.
Uh-huh.
And that would be the dumbest thing WWE can do right now, is to punish Rollins.
They've done dumber.
Right now, that would be the dumbest.
Yeah, that would just be a complete slap in the face to that would be kind of like a rebuke of Triple H, basically. That would be McMahon telling him, like, hey.
No, I think that would be Triple H getting into a fist fight with Kevin Dunn for that one. Because Kevin Dunn's been the one that's been, trying to bury everyone that Triple H put a stamp on. And you can see it. You can see what's making things suffer. It's like Dunn is is trying to take out everyone that Triple H pushed up. And that's why we're like, this is fun. Okay, now we're back to crap.
Yeah, it's night and day sometimes where, you'll see good matches and then something will happen like that. Like it'll turn 9 o'clock or it'll turn 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And it's awful again. It's terrible.
Nothing is worse than the fact that they burnt out Owens' push. That they're like, oh, best of 3, for the title? Yeah, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Like, that was... And that's not me being a mark or anything. That's just like, you had something fun. You had something exciting. You had something unique. And Super Cena wins again. Like, you might as well just release a Superman shirt.
Yeah.
Just go talk to DC and get the rights for it. All right, so, ultimate match. Lesnar versus Undertaker. Why
The
they're calling?
rematch.
They're,
And this is the main event, mind you. This is like the world title match. That's not going to be the main event. This is the main event.
well, you know what? If it's John Cena, I'll take that any day. Like, go ahead. When it was CM Punk, I'm like, you didn't give him a chance to shine. But if it's gonna be John Cena, who has shined so damn much, it's like just fine.
The light from his shine outshines everybody else.
It burns the crops. There's no shade. But
um,
I don't get why they're saying it's the match too big for WrestleMania. I think you literally are burying your WrestleMania. Like,
yeah,
you are literally
very much
burying it
so.
now by saying SummerSlam is bigger. It's like, you know what? Come on. If Taker doesn't win, I don't know what the hell you're trying to book.
You know, I always thought that the person who would beat Brock Lesnar, the first guy to beat Brock Lesnar for the title, or for just beating him in general, would be another UFC transplant, like a call up from UFC if they could get their hands on somebody, a well known guy too, not just anybody. Um, not. I mean, I'd like to see the natural Randy Couture in the ring. That'd be cool. Or maybe Fedor Emelianenko. But that was the long shot of them landing UFC into. I think they're very careful about bringing UFC people in because having a UFC guy in the ring, it does bring legitimacy to your sport. But at the same time, it also he plows through any competition because he's a real fighter. It's basically if they invited a Japanese shoot fighter, to work for them. And so, as far as Brock Lesnar and Undertaker goes, it doesn't make sense for Undertaker to come back just to lose. I don't see, and if he was, well then, what are they? What's his build for WrestleMania? Because obviously, WrestleMania this coming year is going to be in Texas. It's going to be in his home state. They're going to want to try and sell out the arena, the stadium that they're going to be in. So, is this the beginning of a feud culminating at WrestleMania, or is this just another one-off that doesn't lead anywhere? With that being said, I feel like Undertaker should win this one. That way, although if Undertaker wins this one, it's truly a sign of, like, we don't know what to do, but we're just doing what we know people will like for a little while. We're going to take away all of Brock's heat. We're going to take away, the meaning of him losing at WrestleMania 30. We're going to take away all of that just so that we can, sell out a pay-per-view, sell out an arena, because we're that desperate for numbers.
Well, I mean, look, my worst fear right now comes that Lesnar beats Taker and uses that to go back and face Cena for the title, and then Cena survives Suplex City because he's Super Cena.
Right.
Taker has to win. The only person that I think should have taken that, I don't know why Undertaker gave up, the streak to Lesnar. I don't know what his reasoning was.
Nobody knows to this day.
They claim that Taker said he wanted to do it. I have a funny feeling it's more like, I'm going to do what's best for business. It really should have gone to somebody like a Wyatt or something. I get it. Maybe he's not ready or whatnot. But you have to give that bump to someone who deserved it more than Lesnar. And then to go and give him the title so that he disappears.
Right.
It's like, it was just bad. So Taker has to win. No matter how you book it, you have to let Taker win. And then you either do a best of 3, or I could have sworn.
Final being at WrestleMania.
I have to ask, didn't Lesnar face Taker before at WrestleMania?
Yeah, he did.
And Taker won, right?
Match and a biker chain match, I believe.
Oh, Jesus.
If I'm correct, a biker chain match again. But both times Lesnar won. But they don't want to remember that.
Wait. I mean at WrestleMania.
Oh, no, not at WrestleMania.
Damn, I could have sworn that would have happened with him being so, high up in the chain. But, I don't know. So, whatever. This has to be, you have to tie it up right now. Current Taker versus current Lesnar. Tie it up one apiece. Go for a third one. Hopefully not at WrestleMania.
Does that not strike you as a little bit selfish on Lesnar and Taker, because now nobody's going to get the heat for finally being the one to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania? That was the whole point of, because ever since Lesnar beat Undertaker, then the big talk was, okay, well, who's going to beat him? Like, who's going to do it for Undertaker? You know, who's going to show that they're better than the Undertaker?
Well,
and now
let's be honest. When we saw Lesnar win, nobody actually thought that. It was more like, did he knock him out in the match? Because a lot of people were like, it looked like Taker got knocked silly.
I've seen the bump. It's an outside, when they go to the outside, and it's just like a regular sweep. And Taker just, he just rears the way he landed. And it's not on Lesnar at all. It could have been anybody. It was just the way he landed. Yeah, but he totally falls, whips his head right into the mat. And from there, it's pretty clear that, he's not all there. At times.
It's one of those things, like, nobody's ever going to fully know what happened at WrestleMania. I think it was stupid at any point for Lesnar to have gotten the win. Not me being a mark, because Taker's streak should continue. I get it. Streaks are meant to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that was a bad call. Like, if that's the case, if you have to end the match, find a way to end the match where, I don't know, let Taker win by DQ because Lesnar just destroyed Taker. And, Taker takes whatever amount of time to heal up, and then you can have that big return match. Like, oh, you think you destroyed the dead man? I'm still alive. You could have got the same heat for Lesnar without costing the streak.
Right.
So,
well, we'll see how it goes.
I don't want to. Anyway. All right, so I guess that's all we got for the week.
Mm-hmm.
It should be an interesting week. I mean, TNA, GFW is leaving us a little wanting. Hopefully NXT fills that gap. SummerSlam's kind of up in the air. Maybe it'll be good. And I think we're all just going to count down and pray. Huh?
TakeOver should be good.
TakeOver should be the one that makes... NXT should be the one carrying the torch until we get a second season of LU. Because really...
That's what we're all counting
down. It's pretty much it. Like, unless booking gets better, unless Dunn, cuts it out, I don't know. It's NXT right now. NXT's got everything.
Right.
All right, El Jefe, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem.
And to everyone listening, thank you and have a good evening.